When I sat down to plan this episode, I thought about a scene from the original The Color Purple. Celia's stepfather tells her, "You better not never tell nobody but God." If you grew up hearing some version of, "What happens in this house stays in this house," you understood that line long before you saw the movie. We learned what not to tell, what not to question, sometimes even what parts of ourselves not to show. But here's what I've been wondering. What happens when someone who has spent a lifetime learning not to tell becomes a storyteller? Hello, fiction babes and storytellers. Welcome to another episode of Habits of a Writer, the podcast where we talk about the habits that lead to a finished manuscript. I'm your host, Portia Levette, novelist, indie author of 2 published novels, and currently waiting on my book designer to confirm my ideas. My mother had one main rule growing up: don't bring shame on the family name. I didn't realize until much later how deeply I'd internalized that. Because when you become a writer, eventually you're going to write something somebody you love doesn't understand or doesn't approve of. And sometimes, before they ever get a chance to reject it, we reject it for them. That can come from several places. We're told not to talk about something, or the shame or the triggering effects that it has, or even the fear of being made fun of just because it's different or weird. What rules do you have, conscious or subconscious, that prevent you from sharing? I say subconscious because sometimes we are unaware of the hidden beliefs that hold us captive. Things we heard growing up that repeat themselves so often that we think they are our own thoughts. My mother didn't tell me I couldn't write LGBTQTA plus characters in my stories. She's not standing behind me looking over my shoulder saying yes or no. Instead, I'm doing it for her. I'm censoring the words, and not because I'm going to be disowned. It's the same way I used to hear, "Who do you think you are?" so often that eventually I didn't need anyone else to ask me. I could ask myself, "Who do you think you are to write this? Who do you think you are to publish that? Who do you think you are at 56 contemplating packing up your life and moving to Los Angeles just to take screenwriting classes?" After therapy, journaling, and reaching this big age, I finally have an answer. I'm me, and that's enough qualification to make choices about my own life. My writing deserves that same freedom. If I had written Go Get the Priestess while asking myself what my family would approve of, I would have written a different book, maybe even a safer book, but it wouldn't have been the book I wanted to write. I've had to learn that writing honestly doesn't mean writing rebelliously. I'm not putting things on the paper just for shock value. I'm learning to stop removing things simply because someone else might disapprove. There's a difference. One is performance, the other is honesty. This week's habit is a writing audit. Pull out something you're working on and ask yourself, who am I afraid will read this? Then ask, what am I changing because I'm imagining their reaction? A character? A relationship? A sex scene? Maybe the language or the entire premise. You don't have to change anything today. Just notice where you're editing yourself before the real editing even begins. I've spent years editing myself for other people's comfort. I'm learning not to do that anymore. And maybe that's part of becoming the writer I'm supposed to be. Not learning how to say more, learning what I no longer need to leave out. Hey, if you're new here and looking for tips on writing, building a sustainable writing life, and want to talk all things story, then I'm so glad we found each other. I'll be here every other Tuesday with a new episode, So be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out. And if this episode encouraged you to keep growing as a writer, then be sure to hit the like button and share it with another writer friend who could use that same encouragement. Until next time, happy writing, my friends. Again, my name is Portia Lee Vett, and this is Habits of a Writer.